Analysis of all of this here in New York right now. Trial attorney Misty Marris is with us. All right, get back to the politics in a few minutes. Of course, you're on the legal analysis. Misty, was there any surprise from you when this came down so quickly? 3 guilty verdicts?
I actually thought that it might take a little more time because the defense did a pretty good job of creating a little bit of fogginess for the jury. I thought that they might grapple a bit more with this, especially since there were several jurors who had personal experiences with addiction of friends and family members. So when it did come down in the morning, I thought to myself, it's very likely a guilty verdict. I thought we might see something later today or in the afternoon.
Okay, I'm going to get on to jail time in a moment. First, a statement from Abby Lowell, attorney for Hunter Biden. I want to thank the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, for providing the support. Oh, sorry, that's David Weiss. I got the wrong statement here. I got the statement from Abby Lowell underneath that. So let's put the Abby Lowell statement up on the screen. We're naturally disappointed. I said that's the wrong side. He's not going to be saying that. By the verdict, we respect the process we've done throughout the case. We'll continue to vigorously pursue all the challenges to Hunter. But I said I wanted to talk about jail time. On the tablet, we have Section 922G of the U.S. Code, and this has been talked about a lot regarding firearms, prohibits certain persons from shipping, transporting, possessing, or receiving a firearm or ammunition while subject to a prohibition from doing so, most commonly because of a prior conviction for a felony offense. I changed the screen. That's why I wanted to mention that. Some of these numbers are interesting. First of all, right here, 97.4% of those convicted on this offense end up spending time in prison. You see in the middle here, 63 months is the average sentence. But I think at the end, what you're going to see is probably the most important number, maybe. You disagree, Misty? 88% have a prior. Hunter Biden does not have a prior. So is he going to jail for this?
I think it's very unlikely, and here's why. So the sentencing guidelines, well, everybody says the maximum would be something like 25 years. That's not even on the table. 15 to 21 months is really the sentencing guidelines. But this case is very unique. The reason being, it's not often charged in the way that it was, where it's isolated on its own. The falsification of the application plus the possession. Usually it's what's called a felon in possession, meaning somebody had a prior felony. They were found to be in possession of a gun. The gun was used in another crime. Those are the areas where we usually see these charges tacked on to those more serious type charges. So because this is in isolation, and also, Connell, something that I think gets lost, the allegations are 2018. The conviction relates to conduct in 2018. It's now 2024. These are all factors that are going to go into the judge's discretion, whether or not you have a threat to society. We don't have any sort of violent gun crimes in the interim between 2018 and 2024. And we have somebody who's not a current user of drugs, so there's maybe not a need for a diversion program or anything like that right now. So I think the likelihood of jail time is very, very slim.
One more quick thing, though. Even if he doesn't get jail time here, Hunter Biden, the president's son, would still be a convicted felon going into that tax case that Joe Khalil reported on a few minutes ago in September. Does that matter in terms of how he might, say he's convicted in that case?
If he's convicted, it could definitely matter with respect to the sentencing. It's unlikely that this conviction would come in at the trial, and I say that because there's a balance test about probative versus prejudicial, and that's what the judge will grapple with, what comes into the courtroom, if it's too prejudicial to the defendant. And in order for that to come in a prior conviction, it has to be related to the types of charges. So a tax charge, completely different than drugs and possession of a gun. And so there's a strong argument for the defense to actually keep this conviction out of the guilt phase of the trial, while it could be a factor when a judge determines a penalty.
You agree, though, with others that trial might be a bigger risk, not only for Hunter Biden, but for the Biden family?
Yeah, I think that trial could absolutely be a bigger risk. That type of trial, it's really based on documents, paperwork. It's really follow the money. So we'll see how that plays out. But certainly that is a riskier proposition, especially since, as we discussed, this case, there's some novel appellate issues. And also, this was a unique charge that's not usually brought.
We're going to be back to you on some other issues, Misty. So thank you for all the time today. 10 past the hour. I want to move to some break.